Yeah. So what were you saying, Baganda?
Well, so before we start, we should actually tell the audience what we're going to be talking about today. So, me, the good student, and Ford Agent when he arrives because he's going to be a little late. We decided to group watch an anime together. I had watched it previously, but I thought maybe Group Agent and the good student. Actually, I thought the good student and Group Age and Ford Agent might want to give it a check out. It's an old anime from the '90s. It's called Nightwalker. It's about a noir. It's like a vampire in a city. He does detectives and shit, and he's fighting monsters and demons. And there's like a scene of him like eating a fucking half naked chick, and then him and his sire like eating this chick naked on a bed with blood and tits everywhere.
How did you find Nightwalker, Baganda?
Fuck. How did I find it? Shit, so long ago. Um, I think someone told me about it, or I think I found a review for it somewhere, or like I stumbled upon it. It just said, actually, let me read the synopsis from Mal because I think I may have came across it on Mal. I'm just like, oh, this sounds awesome. Okay, I'll read it now. I'm just gonna. Shido is not only a private eye; he is also a vampire. No real memory of his past. Joined by Yayuri Matsugawa, a female government agent, Riho, an orphan teenage girl working as his Friday, and Goonie, a gringle, Shido must face the demonic creatures known as Nightbreeds. Meanwhile, Kane, the vampire who made him into what he is now, is seeking him. Like, I think 16 or 17-year-old me would have thought like, oh, this sounds cool. It's only 12 episodes. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I mean, and it is cool. Yeah, it's pretty episodic, and there are some red herrings like about some sort of a greater plot, but unfortunately, the source material, the visual novel, has not been translated into English, and I think it would be hard to find even a Japanese copy. Um, the
I mean
original,
this anime. I mean this anime was made in like what, fuck in the '90s and shit, like late '90s. Visual novel probably mid '90s. I mean, like it's probably like in the bargain bin sale or like in Akihabara or like some fucking crazy otaku has probably got it and he's still holding on to it.
so the visual novel was released in
There's
1993.
there's two of them.
Yeah, and there was a remake which was released in 2001 for for Windows 2000. The 1993 version was for the PC 98. Uh, I, I I thought that so I guess we could talk about
I think it might be a good idea to talk about your first impressions. Like, I know this would be like questioning you, but so since I introduced you to the show, what did you first think when you heard about the show? Like what I told you about this Nightwalker show. Like, what was the first thing that was going through your head? But before you watched the first episode,
before I watched the first episode. I can't remember to be honest. I didn't. I just went in with an I guess with a blank slate. And I think for the first three episodes or so, I I um, me off first. Before watching it, Night Walker. I really can't remember to be honest. Uganda.
all right, that's fine. It's fine. So sort of when I like first watched the show, I was just kind of captured by I don't really think it has a noir aesthetic, but it kind of has a very sort of like urban fantasy kind of aesthetic to it. Like it feels very like it feels very like 90s pulp fiction in a way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does feel like Pulp Fiction. Um,
Like it's just oozing with fucking style, and like, you know, your main character's like this cool, possible, like, you know, he's too cool for school. You know, like, I mean, have you ever read the manga or seen the anime Eat Man?
no, I haven't. No.
You should. I've got the manga for it. I might send it to you later. Digital manga, but like, you know, it has that kind of similar feel. You know, you got a main character who's too cool for school. He knows shit that other people don't, and like, you know, you know, he's like literally, like he is literally the main protagonist of the world, of the planet. You know, it's like it kind of caught me away with that kind of like urban fantasy, you know, this crazy shit out there, um, type style. Like, did you get that impression? Like, it's very Pulp Fiction.
I did get that impression. Yeah, I mean, I felt like, especially in the later episodes, I guess because when it started, it was a bit, I don't know,
Land.
and kind of comedic as well. I thought it got a little bit. Maybe it was just the style, because, as I said earlier, after episode 4, uh, I, I like the style after episode 4 rather than first 3 episodes. What did you think about that? Did you notice it at all? Um,
I did notice the style changed a little bit. I mean, after the fourth episode, like, so we should tell the audience. So for the Nightwalker anime, for the first like 4 episodes, they originally thought it was going to be an OVA, and then they changed it to a TV episode, which is why they toned down on like the nudity and the blood and the sex and violence.
yeah, I mean, I
Because
get.
you know, you can't show that, you know, you can't show tits on a Christian television screen.
Yeah, I think maybe like, I didn't take the first few episodes that seriously because, I thought, oh, this is going to be like, a bit like one of those OVAs, where it's just violent and you can enjoy the violence and the sets. uh, but I guess, it's, mm, the side characters, certainly do, play a part at the start, but I feel like in the middle there's a bit where it just becomes the Shido, show. Like it's just about him and, whoever the culprit is. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think basically every episode is like, half of it is like, you get the backstory about,
Yeah.
the villain, like the human who is possessed by.
Yeah,
Uh,
the demon and shit. I actually think that was a really I think that was kind of like a bad call from the anime, because like, and I'm going to be using Vampire the Masquerade terminology a lot, because not because I think it's like the greatest forgiver for vampires, but I think like it describes vampirism very well. I kind of view those side characters as like his touchstones, like that help tie him to humanity, because the thing about a vampire, and this especially in Shido case, like Shido's like what, 200 300 years old, like he doesn't really have much to really, like, he doesn't really have much to keep him going, keep him grounded to his humanity. Um, and you know, as we see out for the show, there are still like glimpses, and in fact, they show you entire flashbacks. Like literally, you know, he gave in to his vampiric impulses and shit, and it caused them nothing but misery. You know, he like it's like Dracula if he gained humanity. You know, it's like, what am I doing?
uh, One of the plot points I remember was that, Shido couldn't, remember his past life, as a human. Is that a common thing in vampire stuff, or is it just something, with Nightwalker?
It does happen in some stories. In fact, in Vampire the Masquerade 20th edition and the previous editions, there is actually a flaw for that. Actually, like, you get embraced and you completely forget your mortal life. Like, you remember the skills and like you have vague memories, but who you were, what your name was, did you have a family, do you have loved ones, like all of that is gone. I could bring up the book right now. I think it's I usually don't. I mean, I personally usually don't run amnesia stories because, like, once you've run them once, you're basically it's like all the juice them is gone.
Yeah.
And I will say this, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of amnesia stories. For me, it kind of depends, like how they handle it.
Yeah. I mean, uh,
I don't like. I do like it how we get like some flashbacks of what he vaguely remembers. Like he remembers he has something, and I think like if this show ran a little longer and maybe had a arc where it was a bit more serious and more collective, we get to finally find out what the fuck the Golden Dawn is. I think it could be a very good. I think they could have used it as a very good tool for storytelling and talking about like the trauma that he has being a vampire. Because we should talk about that. Literally when he becomes a vampire, his sire Kane basically tries to break his humanity because in Vampire the Masquerade, that's what most sires actually do. Like you've just been turned into a vampire. You're hungry and starving, and like, oh, there's food for you. There's a snack for you. Oh no, it's a person. No, it's okay. You can do it.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, what I felt like was that most of the character development for Shido, in particular, was it was like all through flashbacks. So basically, when we start, he doesn't really change that much, other than acquiring I don't know what would you call it, a vampire of his own, or um, a servant. I don't know. What would you call so the opposite of a sire?
okay, so in the Vampire Masquerade, like basically, so you have your sire and your child. So when the sire turns a human into a vampire, they become that vampire's child. So Kane is Shido's sire, and the girl that he turns into a vampire, he is her sire, and Kane is her grandsire. And that's how you start like a lineage and shit like that.
Yeah, I did find that girl, Riho, to be a little bit annoying during basically before she turned into a vampire. But like I guess it's kind of spoilers, but whatever.
It's an anime from the '90s. I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah,
I doubt
exactly.
anyone's gonna watch the show. Like I doubt, like even if I made a review or podcast about it, like I doubt anyone's really gonna care, except for those really people who like hardcore into retro. But yeah, um, I would agree. Like during the first 3 episodes, like she is thirsting hard for him. Like it's wow.
I mean, but afterwards, for a lot of the series until the ending, does she play much of a role? I mean, I guess she does get one episode after she turns into a vampire, and like she has to give
I
up his.
think that yeah, I think that episode was yeah, no, like actually, no, we'll mention that later. Um, I think that episode was just to help the audience remind her what she's lost in theory.
Yeah, I guess, but the problem that I had with that episode is that we didn't really see any of those school mates that
Yeah,
she
yeah,
had.
that's the issue. That is the problem. Like the series is only 12 episodes. If this had like 24 episodes, or maybe even 20, um, obviously we're not going to get them because old anime and shit like that. But I mean, do you think the show would have been better if it had more episodes just to help flesh out shit?
I mean, it depends because of the structure of the show, because it's um, basically an episodic show. I mean, um,
Okay, how about this? It starts off episodic, and then foreshadows a greater plot, and then through the halfway point, it becomes a bit more serious, and then has a bit more of a consecutive plot going. Like, would that be fine?
I uh, yeah, I guess you would need villains who last for more than an episode, and I guess
I mean, the main
that's
Messiah makes
technically
a
one.
pretty good villain. I mean, gets his head chopped off and then comes back to life again to troll Shiro again.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, with him, of course, the problem is that I don't know. They made it like seem so that dramatic that now he killed him, so he won't be able to get his memories back. With Shido won't be able to know because obviously only Kane knows about Shido's life before
Yeah.
Shido became a vampire. So
I
when
actually think Shido cutting his head off was actually a good character development moment for him because basically he's getting over the past that he doesn't know, or in a way.
yeah, but by killing him, but he doesn't die. So
Yeah,
uh,
well, the idea is great. He says like, no, I'm not going to do this inhuman shit. Fuck you, and then cuts his head off. That is. I like the idea. I like the idea of that scene symbolizing that he's over his past. He's over his past. Like this is who he is now. Like Shido is who he is now. Like what he once was. Who he once was is no longer relevant, especially because wife and kids are dead. So
yeah, from what I can infer about the visual novel, I think the reason that Kane is still alive is because the Golden Dawn thing, which Kane talked about, probably going to happen later on in the end. But given that um, we won't be able to see that, there really isn't much point uh, to Kane's character after he dies, really. Um,
except for like Yaoi fan service for Joshi's at the end.
yeah. I mean, we should. I don't know if born is the right word, but uh, I guess it's kind of gay, the relationship between Kane and Shido, but we don't really get to see that much of it anyway.
Yeah, we don't really get to see the relationship as well. Like, dude, there's literally like an episode of them like eating a chick out on a fucking bed covered in roses and blood, and they're all naked. Like that's pretty gay, dude. That's pretty gay.
Yeah. Not exactly a Christian manga, not a manga, anime, but
I mean, hey, look. It's fine as long as look as long as you say no homo, it's not gay. All right.
yeah, I mean, and if you're a Christian, what the hell are you doing watching stuff about vampires anyway?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. It's thin, bro. Yeah. I will tell you, like, so in like Vampire the Masquerade, sire-child relationships, are incredibly complicated and multi-layered. The relationship between Guts and Griffith, and
yes.
how it's many things at once. Think of think of a relationship between a sire and child like that.
Mm, I
It's
see.
it's a, it's a type of relationship that you really it's a multitude of things. Like even on the surface and deep down, it's a multitude of things.
Do you think that they did a good job to portray that in?
I think they did, and this is me with my experience of playing Vampire the Masquerade, and reading lore and watching vampire movies and literature and shit like that. Because one of the things that vampires suffer from is ennui. Like they get bored. They get bored. Like they need something. Like if you actually, you should watch like Interview of a Vampire because this describes it perfectly. Like that's a sire and child relationship gone bad.
Mm. Um, from what I understand, Shido was always a good guy from the start. Um, and I mean, he did do some evil stuff after he became a vampire, but like I guess he did it like he didn't do it consciously. I guess in the same way that Cain would kill
How's it?
humans. Um,
I mean, here's the thing. What Kane is doing is a tactic that many vampire sires do. They do it out of a twisted form of love. Like basically, he's trying to lower his humanity so this gets easier. Because literally, he's not going to spend an eternity with some guy whining about every human he exsanguates.
Yeah, personally, I think that Kane should just get over Shido if he doesn't want to die. But I don't know. Maybe he's too bored to care anyway.
I mean, we're going to assume that Kane's quite an ancient vampire, like quite like significantly older than Shido is. So, like, I'm going to assume it's partially because of ennui.
Yeah.
And we actually don't particularly know. Like, another interesting thing is that we don't particularly know what Kane's backstory is or how he became a vampire. Because, a reason why a vampire could embrace another vampire, it could be multiple reasons. It could be like a very romantic notion of, they're going to preserve your spirit forever. Or it could be another thing where, they're at a party with you, you OD'd and they thought you were cool, and they gave you the blood because they didn't want you to die.
This is complete headcanon, but when they said that his name was Cain, I thought of the biblical Cain, um, whom, if I'm not mistaken, was given a punishment by God. Um,
Yes, he was.
that basically he would just be immortal and not die, which is, I guess, sort of like a being a vampire, sort of.
Well, here's the interesting thing is that in Vampire the Masquerade, Cain is the originator of all vampires. He's the first.
I see. Very
Yeah,
clever.
Vampire Masquerade lore is quite a fun. That like World of Darkness lore is quite the fun, little interesting rabbit hole to dive into. I'll have to link you the book sometime. But yeah, I think they did a very good job at portraying like the inhumanity of Cain, and also like the ennui and the complicated vampire relationship. I mean, look at the relationship that Shido starts to have with Riho. Like, first it starts off like it's this savior thing, but also she wants his cock, and then when she becomes a vampire, it's like a lot more layers get added to it. Like they become more companions, father and daughter, I guess, and then she also starts thirsting for his cock again because of course she does. Um, you know, but that's a relationship that was building up. But I'm sorry, backtrack. But you see in just like what a few months or a year or two of her becoming a vampire, like you see the multiple layers already building up in their relationship.
Yes, and to be honest, when Riho was first introduced, I thought that she was sort of like a shoujo protagonist a little bit, maybe, and I thought that maybe she was there like in order to get some of the female demographic to watch the anime, but I don't know. I think it's mainly for a male audience. And
I mean, have you seen her figure? She's not bad looking.
yeah, I guess so, yeah. Because I guess the reason that I thought it might be a shoujo-ish is because Shido, of course, is a pretty boy. Is a
And it also got kissed by a boy. The Fujoshis will eat that shit up. And also the other gay shit he did.
Yeah, and it felt to me like the high schooler Riho was sort of the I guess the self-insert for
yeah, it's like
female.
it's like in a shoujo should be attracted to that dark side of him. It's like, oh, he's the Night Walker. Oh, let me soothe his brooding dark soul. Oh, easy there.
Yeah,
yeah. Like give you an example. Have you heard of Captain Harlock?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, like in the 70s, like Captain Harlock was a fucking heart throb. Like to the chicks in Japan, like they just wanted to soothe his tortured soul. Like that's what would happen if this was a shoujo anime. She's like, oh, she's so tortured and dark and bright, so distant and aloof. Oh my god, is this love?
Yeah, I mean, both for female and male audiences, I feel like. Do you get that many protagonists that are just supposed to be cool, unironically these days?
Repeat that again. You cut out for a second.
Do you think that you get for both male and female audiences that you get characters like Shido who are just supposed to be cool? I guess you do. I mean that Moriarty anime was sort of like that. I guess
I didn't say like yes and no. Like it depends. Like you can have like anime that does go for like a more like shoujo style. I mean, Vision of Escaflowne is a good example of this. Like it has like a show. It is a show. It has like a shoujo art style, shoujo character designs, and it has like shoujo elements. But it's also a mecha fantasy action thing. So you know, I think it depends. Like you could definitely have like the cool pretty boy, but I think like in the shonen case, like he wouldn't be as effeminate. Like they'd probably be a bit more like manly or edgy.
would you describe Shido Oken as effeminate?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of also
I mean, look at the first picture I linked.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I mean, like, give them tits, and they could pass for female. I mean, if you look at some of this official art, like, there's definitely like a bit of like femininity in the design.
I think the direct. Let me see if I can find her name. I think it was directed by a woman. So maybe that might. It's created by Ayana Itsuki, which sounds like a woman's name.
Yeah, I'll have to look that shit up later. Like, if you want like a pretty boy, like a shoujo style or something like this, like you'd get like. Okay, Ford Angel will come if he can. Like you'd get something like this. Like for the type of cool character type, you'd get oh fuck, didn't load properly. God damn it. Like you would get something kind of like this. As an example. It's not always, but you'll what the fuck? I want to link this fucking artwork. Fuck gay. Alright, fuck, I'll link this. Perfect. That's good enough. Good enough. Right, I'll just link this. Fucking. Sorry, audience. I'll try to link this picture. Like you'd get something like this.
Yeah. Not exactly. Like more.
Well, not exactly, but you get the gist. Like you'd get like something that looks cool, a bit edgy. Ooh, got a dark brooding part. You know, like the type of character that Shido was. Like if this was more of a shonen. I think he'd be a bit more stylized in that kind of way.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, for people who want context, I'm showing a picture of Vincent from Final Fantasy VII.
Shido is just supposed to be like a cool guy, cool detective, sort of character. That's what I felt like, especially after I watched a few episodes. And after,
I mean, if you see the way he dressed, like he dressed very like old fashioned as well.
Yeah,
and he's also got like the fucking shades.
Yeah, the shades. Yeah, the dark. But so I and after I found out that like it was based on a visual novel, that of course removed any doubt that this was for that it was there for a female audience. Like obviously it wasn't, because like maybe there were some changes made to it to make it. I don't know. When it comes to visual novels, I mean there are otome games, but
yeah, and just because a visual novel is primarily for dudes does not mean that females aren't playing it.
Yeah, but I do wonder back in the 1990s, in the early 1990s.
I get like so there were female otaku, but probably not as many, and like female otaku are still fucking rare.
Yes, that.
And for Joshis, like listen, they're a subgroup within a subgroup within a subgroup. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, there wasn't really that much Fujoshi based other than that scene you talked about earlier. I don't know because I've tried watching stuff like Free, but I just couldn't. It was just too boring. But
Well, it's just not for you. That's perfectly
yes,
fine.
yeah, it's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, um, well, there are some people who do not think it is fine for there to be things which are aimed at men because they are supposedly evil or something. But
Yeah, well,
um,
listen, the people who say that don't believe that evil's a concept anyway, and they just say evil because they don't like it.
yeah. Like if you use the word evil, they'll probably say, "Oh, there's no such thing as evil" or whatever. Um,
Yeah, well, these I'm not going to get into moral debates with these people because they don't operate on the same moral framework. But anyway, enough about politics and shit that I don't really want to talk about. Like I could definitely see this maybe appealing to females. I mean, if you look at some of like the paper art, like the second picture, like you see this fucking chick like hair spread out, like she's obviously naked, and you can see like Shido is like grasping onto her, and he's like looking at you with that kind of predatory smile.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that there'd be quite a few chicks who'd be kind of into that. It's like, oh, he looks dangerous. Oh, it's this dangerous predator who's gonna ravage me with his fangs. Oh no, I better scream for help.
Did you think that the stories were a little bit samey because like every episode is about like oh this breeder promises or something to a human. The demons are called breeders anyway.
Well,
Um,
we'll just call them demons. It doesn't really fucking matter.
yeah,
They're like, I think the show described them as like lesser, lower demons or something like that. So, like, these aren't even like the powerful ones.
yeah. Apparently, breeders is short for night breeders or something. Anyway, they're demons, and
Yeah,
uh,
lesser demons essentially.
yeah, they just offer. Um, they just, I guess, uh, promise to make someone's wish come true or whatever, and but then obviously they don't. Uh,
It's a monkey's paw. It's
yeah, it's a monkey
always
paw.
like, yeah. Um,
I guess that,
I kind of wish we had like an episode where there was like an actually good Nightbreed who wasn't like a one-dimensional asshole.
I guess the closest that it got to that was the episode where they were stuck in a well with that vampire girl, which never showed up again, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Uh,
unfortunately, I wish we saw more of her, but because she was great. If you ever seen like, if you ever heard of like Vampire Princess Miyu or Princess Miyu, they actually had like, so I'm not gonna, I forget the name of what the creature's called, but we're just gonna call them demons for now. There's actually like I think a two-part episode where a human and this demon actually generally fall in love with each other. Um, and basically this vampire, like basically her job is to basically send these creatures back to hell essentially. And I forget the episode, but he's like, please send me with her. I don't want to be without her in my life. Like, he was willing to go to hell for this demon woman, and they actually did generally fall in love with each other. Like, it started out similar to what we see in the anime, but then it became like something genuine.
I see. Uh, yeah,
And I think in the manga there was a similar situation, but like the opposite. It had like this demon was like raising this girl that he
when it
also
comes,
fell in love with. So in the manga of Vampire Princess Miyu. So I kind of wish we had like maybe a case like that where it's like, okay, not all Nightbreed's still evil except that one. Maybe there is hope.
yeah, I've heard some people complain about like when people complain about Twilight, for instance. One of the things which they complain about a lot is that they made the vampires to be like they are no longer mindless evil monsters or something, or they're not no longer evil. So
But they are
uh,
evil.
yeah, but I guess here Shido is not evil, and is that all right?
Here's the thing. Like you have to we have to define what is good and evil right now. But aside from that fossil topic, I think it actually can work if you have the character say Shido trying to fight against his vampiric urges and shit. You know, have you ever heard of Pathnax from Skyrim?
No, what is it?
Okay, let me just bring up the quote because I'm probably going to mess it up. So basically, in Elder Scrolls Skyrim, basically the dragons in that game, they are basically creatures of sin and domination. They can't help it; it's within their nature to dominate, control, and destroy shit. And you have a dragon known as Pathnax who, to some extent, resists that nature. And let me just go find the quote. Wait, Let me go. No, so he spelled Pathnax. What? Yeah, Pathnax dilemma. Where's the quote? Quote.
I
Okay,
guess.
here's the quote. I'm just gonna put it in the recording chat. So here's the quote. So to give you context, this Pathnax character, he did like a lot of evil things in his past before he like turned to like quote unquote good. And there's more quotes, but this is the one. All right. What is better, to be born good or overcome your evil nature with great effort?
Yeah, I mean, uh,
Like if you like the like because we saw Shido what happened when he gave into his beast impulse. Like he wiped out an entire village. He embraced his fucking daughter, and then she killed herself in the sunlight and fell to her death. Basically, it was that moment that he because here's the thing: as a vampire, you don't think like a human because as a vampire, you don't feel love, you remember love because you view things in territory and possessiveness and your domain and shit like that and territory and all sorts of psychological shit. Like you have this hunger for blood that never goes away, and ennui sets in, and everyone you ever loved dies around you. Um, like it's no reason. It's fucking. I mean, at that point, I'm surprised they don't go insane. But you know, I mean, that is the question for Shido's character. Like, is it better for him to embrace what he has become, or to struggle against that nature, that bestial side of him that now is his eternal companion?
yeah, I guess one of the issues which I have with with this setup, I guess, with vampires trying to be good or whatever, is that like like a lot of the bad things which they do, like they didn't do out of their free will or something. They did it because of their instincts or whatever. Um, which it's not a bad theme to have like have them try to overcome their instincts in order to use their power for good. But I don't know. It would have been, I kind of prefer it when characters do things out of their free will, and
Yeah,
then
I definitely agree. I think the instinct card gets played a bit too much. Um, I definitely think it would have been better for some shows that like basically like the instinct is always going to be a factor with these types of characters, okay? Because they can't help it. Like their animalistic nature, that bestial nature is who they fucking are. All right, underneath it all. So obviously, instinct it can be really it could be a very good theme and thematic thing. However, I would agree that you know I think people have been using that as kind of like a crutch to justify their evil action, to justify some of their bad actions. Like I think it'd be a very interesting conundrum where a vampire character, say like Shido, he's given like a choice, right? And you know, one side of him says make one choice, the other side makes another. You know, I think that might be a good part to play in the whole instinct thing. Like basically, he still has to make a choice, but it could go either, to
I
depending on what side does he listen to.
I guess what I would have preferred more is if Shiro was genuinely evil in a rational way, like Kane was, and then maybe changed his mind because of some event. Um,
Yeah. I think that would have been actually. I think that would have added a bit more depth to his character because you know he starts as a human being. You know he basically goes for like the vampire training boot camp. You know he lowers his humanity and then realizes before it's too late that oh my god, what have I become? And then decides to try and like make himself a better person and do good out of that. I think that may have added a bit more depth to his character. because you get the impression that obviously he's a newly created vampire, so all these urges are new to him and shit. Like it's his first rodeo. He 9 times out of 10, he's gonna he swung into it, and yeah, I definitely think it would have been a bit more interesting if he was more like rationally evil.
Yeah. I also would have loved to know how he ended up in Japan, of all places.
I mean, he took a boat. We saw that in that one episode. Like he took a boat, but like honestly, I think he was just fucking boat hopping, probably.
I see.
I mean, the guy lived in Transylvania, so
That's quite that's quite far away. Um,
yeah. Like I bet you $5 he probably just like took the first boat and just kept on hopping boats and shit until he just got to Japan. And he's just like, well, I like it here, so I'm just gonna stay here.
hmm.
I mean, look, if you live for 200 years, like staying in the same place all the time, it's gonna get boring. It's gonna get boring.
Which color would you describe Shido's hair to be?
I'd say probably like gray, light gray.
I see. Because I think in the remake of the visual novel, it was something like purple or whatever for some reason. Uh, yeah.
Anime characters sometimes have weird fucking hairstyles. Like I could imagine him having like a light gray hair. Like he would have like light gray hair, and they add like this tinge of purple for like stylistic purposes.
Uh, what about the? So we have talked a lot about Shido, and I guess it makes sense because as you said at the start, this is one of those anime where basically the world revolves around the protagonist.
Yeah, it's like 90s fucking Pulp Fiction. You know, it's Eat Man, it's Vampire Hunter D, it's Demon City Blues. Like these guys, like they're the main protagonists in their own story.
Um, as for the side characters, is there much to say about Gumi?
I thought their backstories were interesting enough, but I think they're a bit too one note. Like I think they make good like touchstones for like Shido's humanity, like to keep him grounded. But like and also free food
Yeah.
and sex because of course.
Of course, yeah. Off screen, of course, for the most part.
Yeah, it's like look, he just takes a little nibble during bed. It's fine.
Yeah. Um, did you feel like it would have been better if Ryoho's conversion to a vampire was drawn out, or do you think it was the right length?
So when I first watched it, I didn't expect that she would become a vampire like that early in the series. I thought that'd be like something at the end. You know, like they would build up her like her thirsting for his cock, and then eventually he'd like relent and like give her the embrace. I mean, if you ever read like the Warhammer fantasy novels, like Vlad von Carstein did a similar thing. Like basically, he married Isabella, and basically, like he like their relationship started out as like him using her as a pawn, and then eventually he like truly found love with her. And then when she got sick and she was dying, he basically turned into a vampire to save her.
I see.
Like I thought it was going to become something like that. Like eventually, it would reach the point where Shido's not going to ignore her feelings and view her as just like the sidekick.
Yeah. Whereas what actually happened was that well, it just happened. She got hurt, and in order to keep her alive, he had.
I mean, she got impaled by like 9-inch like wolf claw shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty dumb of Shido to involve her to begin with, really.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, he half expected her to run away the second, she found out he was a vampire, but apparently the first was strong. She's like, oh my god, he's such a tortured soul. Oh my god, my heart is beating. Is this love?
Um, Given all the monsters running around, I kind of found it a bit hard to believe that like ordinary people wouldn't know about it.
Hey, are you okay? You're like sounding a bit fucking muffled.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay. You're muffled for a second. Yeah, I find it fucking weird. Like, there's literally there's like several gunfights in the show. There's like a show where that guy gets taken over. He's like spitting acid in front of people in public.
Yeah,
and then you got like Shido, who's like jumping around the place, like summoning blood swords and shit.
I mean, you would think that it would be common knowledge, like the police certainly seem to be aware of it. Because
ordinary police seem to be aware of it. I mean, like the second they found that Shido was a fucking vampire, they sent the fucking SWAT team out.
Yeah, they weren't
like they immediately believe it.
Come to think of it, there was a character who was, I think Kane called her a witch, but I think she was just possessed by another breeder.
Demon thing, demon thing. Actually, she could have been a witch and then summoned a demon. Who knows? I mean, it's vague, but like it's obvious in this world that the supernatural shit isn't like, I wouldn't say it's like in the open, but like I actually think it's something like probably similar to like Berserk in a way. Like people believe in it. Like I think there's people who generally believe in it. And then they're like, I think there's like some people be like, oh no, those don't exist. And then they see shit, I'm like, oh okay, they do actually exist. Okay, you're not crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in Berserk, at least at the start, I think that they played it pretty well. And like when the characters first came across one of the apostles,
Nosferatu Zod.
Yeah, like you could see that they were genuinely surprised, as were we.
Oh yeah, like I didn't expect a fucking demon to show up. I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go now?
But here, on the other hand, it's I guess I guess they do not want to compromise like the style of like it's just an urban fantasy setting. Like it's
well, just... urban fantasy setting, like an urban fantasy setting, there's quite a few where literally vampire and supernatural, like it's common knowledge that they exist, and maybe like the average person may know a few facts about them that may be right or wrong, like that are correct or not. But like for the most part, most people have probably never encountered a vampire, and when they do, they're like, "Oh, okay, interesting." Like if you ever read like Demon City Blues or like the like basically in that world, like vampires and that type of shit has become commonplace. Like people have kind of got used to it. Like yeah, these things are a thing.
Yeah. As for the world building, now before the world building, do you have any thoughts on the policewoman? Other than I guess the chaperone or whatever.
I think she's fine. I think she serves the purpose well enough.
Yeah, I guess she's the sort of like so in the Sherlock Holmes stories you have Lestrade or whatever, Inspector Lestrade or whatever his name is, who will
Watson.
Just not Watson, but somebody from the police who will like come to the private detective. Or like we have this case which we cannot solve by ourselves, so give us a hand. Oh, great, detective, that sort of thing.
I mean, it's probably because of that woman. Because, like, literally, like when the SWAT come, he literally cuts off a dude's arm off, and it's like they don't try and arrest him afterwards. Like they don't care.
Yeah, they also talk about something called the POS or something. Like, so there's, so I think the woman works for a different department or whatever organization, but it's never made clear, like about what is going on with the police.
Yeah.
And
Like
their
I just got the impression. I just got the impression that there's like fucking like there's just a bureau for like supernatural crazy shit.
yeah, that's also what I thought. Yeah, and we only get to see the woman. Did they explain how the policewoman and Shido met at all?
Yeah, they did. It was in that flashback episode when we met the fucking fairy thing. Yeah, she was one of those twins.
I see. Yeah,
Yeah, you remember that episode? We watched it together.
I can't remember. Could you run it down for me again?
He stays at a hotel. There's a beautiful sister. One has their face burnt off. Fire matches. Pretty sister's possessed by a demon and stealing faces. Pretty sister died. Yeah, that shit.
Yeah. So I see. So that was like I didn't get that for some reason. Probably because the video was stuttering a bit here and there. But
Yeah, that was her.
doesn't she have like basically two people in her then?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's got her sister's face.
I see. Yeah. That never came up afterwards, though, did it?
No, after that flashback.
Yeah.
And I actually found flashback that backstory was very out of fucking place.
Why?
Well, it's like fucking twin sisters flamethrower face crap, and now she's a badass police officer. Like,
Yeah.
it's too many things at once.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like it does feel like something that they came up with later on.
Yeah, like it feels like a mix of too many things. Like how I would have rewritten it is this: like she's got a burnt, like okay, so her face isn't completely munted, but she's got like scars and shit. All right, and she's out for revenge because her twin sister and her family died because a Nightbreed burnt her mansion down while trying to possess her father or something like that. Like make a song like that. I would have changed it to that. And she's like, you know, she had the house rebuilt from the money. Oh no, better yet, we keep the twin sistership, but they're survivors from a Nightbreed who killed their parents, and they rebuilt the house, and they're thirsting for revenge. And and one of the twin sisters dies. Like, I think there's other ways you could have rewritten it to make it less complicated.
Yeah. I didn't find most of the villains to be that interesting as much as the protagonist.
Because they're throwaway. Like the only one you want to watch is Kane because he's like probably the most realistic elder vampire you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think that this series might have worked more if it was something long like Detective Conan, where like you have a bunch of episodic
and then
stuff.
It gets more serious.
Yeah, and then it becomes episodic. So basically, you have like a bunch of episodes where the detective solves a bunch of cases with characters which do not show up again. But then some of the characters will actually come back and show up again, and so there's some continuity.
Yeah, I think the show would have been better more. Like I think the show could have been better if it had like say 25 or 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Focus on some episodic missions, do some fleshing out of characters, and then we can get the Golden Dawn shit.
Yeah. I don't think. The ending in particular. Oh, like it was.
Yeah, the ending is one giant fucking troll. So before we go into like art and stuff and the rest of that shit. So basically, the last episode is basically Shido has a fallout with Riho, and she goes to the dark side. She kills the police officer. She kills the fairy, and they're on a ship, and they're about to like do the final blow to each other because it's like, well, he's turned Riho into a vampire, and now he has to put her down because she's going off the deep end, and she's doing it consciously, by the way. Yeah, because with vampire relationships, it can go bad. It can either go bad really quickly or good really quickly. It's kind of it's complicated. Facebook status, it's complicated, but I mean, if they ended the series there with just him like having to kill Riho, I would probably found it like quite abrupt and shocking and a bit like shock factorish, but also quite a twist ending.
Yeah, I think it would have at least been more memorable.
I mean, I still find some of the reasoning a bit bullshit.
Yeah,
but I can get it in the context of like if you ever read like any decent vampire media, like I can get it. Like it's just a misunderstanding or complicated relationship bullshit gets even more complicated and it just turns into a mess. You know, it's like one of those situations that just gets worse and worse the more you get into it.
yeah. I mean, it just happened a little bit too fast in one episode.
Yeah, I think it would be better if we paired out a few episodes. Like if they had a few more episodes, just make that like the ending, and you'd be like, "Wow, that was quite fucking shocking."
Yeah, because it's not like I didn't like the episodic episodes or whatever. I guess the self-contained stories. It was pretty comfy.
I mean,
but,
it makes for good build up to get to know the characters, I guess.
yeah, but there wasn't a proper ending, to be honest. I guess it was. At least it was something different. So there's that. They never really explained what the hell Gumi, the little fairy thing, is.
I think she said she was like an urban fairy or something like that. Like I'm going to assume that she was some sort of imp or some sort of creature.
Yeah, and I think apparently in the visual novel she was used for comedy or whatever.
Yeah. I am starting. My throat is starting to get. Oh look, Ford Engine's back online. Hopefully he can take over for a bit.
Hello, Short Agent.
No, he's not in yet.
Oh,
he's online right now. I fucking want to play. Like,
I see. Hopefully,
I need to get a drink, and he can continue the conversation.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. So until okay, so I guess this bit is just going to be me, I guess. What else is there to say about this anime? So nothing really. So I guess I'll just be silent. Taking out.
Come on, Ford Agent, come in. I fucking need you. Come on, I need to save you. Like, look, I enjoy these little conversations, but like, you know, when I talk about a show, like if I have good chemistry, like I don't think we have bad chemistry, but like with other people, like I have better chemistry with. So like, I need like a third jump in.
Yeah, so to give you some time to think about what to say.
Yeah, I'm getting like. How about this? I'm just gonna wait for Ford Agent. I'm just gonna go grab myself a glass of milk quickly. So I'll be back in a second. If Ford Agent comes in, just have him talk about the story and shit. We can bounce off there before we go into art and stuff and all the other shit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Peace out. Be back in a sec.
Yep. So that was Biogun. Probably going to stop recording now and then start recording once somebody else gets on. Because I really don't have that much to talk about this anime. I mean, I guess I could talk about Twilight. A lot of people hate it, but not me. I personally did quite like it. The books anyway, and I'm not alone in this opinion. What's his name? can't remember his name, but there's a YouTuber who also is of that opinion. I can't remember him. I guess I could talk about something else. Well, I guess it's fine to have some silent moment. Can't be bothered to cut it out. But let's get back here. Well. Yeah, I mean, I've already said everything that there's to say about this anime. The art changes on episode 4 a little bit. I thought that it was an improvement. It gets, but to be honest, it's not such a huge improvement either. I didn't think that the animation was bad, but to be honest, I'm not somebody who cares that much. I mean, I can appreciate good animation, but and even when it comes to stuff like Great Onizuka, which has supposedly bad animation, I've never felt like, oh, can't watch it because of that. Anyway, I think the main appeal of this anime is the atmosphere. It's most of it is set in a city. I don't think that they do say which city it is. It's basically
No, they don't. It's just like generic City A.
Yeah, and yeah, it's I think yeah, the appeal is mostly for that setting, really. I mean, there are some flashbacks which are in other settings, but
yeah, I think the world building, like as far as like set place, is fine, but like as far as like the world is, I have a lot of questions. Like for example, how do vampires work in this world? Because and this is a big issue we noticed is that like they say they can't go out during the sun, and like we like and apparently the only time they can actually go out during the day is if it's like incredibly cloudy out and shit. But like they don't really establish any like vampire rules or how it works. Like we just know they have all these powers and shit. It's like like how does it work? Are they undead corpses? Are they like living beings who are now cursed with this immortal vampirism? Is it like Warhammer Fantasy where this that like weaker vampires can't go out during the day, but like the stronger you are, the more easily you're able to tolerate the sunlight, or like single ray of sunlight you die and burn to death. Like they don't really give us any like established rules.
Yeah, I mean the same with the breeders. They just exist. They don't explain where they come from, why they exist. And come to think of it, Shido doesn't actually kill any vampires, does he?
No, not even his own sire they fully decapitated. Like I would think that would kill a vampire, but apparently no, not in this world. Or maybe, and maybe if you're an incredibly strong vampire, you can just survive decapitation.
Yeah, I mean, they did also say that when he was stuck in that well, I think the breeder said that, oh, like you're not going to die anyway, so maybe even if he doesn't get blood, he won't die. I don't know. He would just be in pain, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Um, I thought. Hmm, yeah, the breeders were all pretty much evil. The closest that we got to a good one or whatever was when either when the breeder had not totally taken over the human, or whatever. And I think that there was one breeder that they did let go, right? That the dead
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure whether that was actually. I mean, uh, the right decision because it sounded to be like these breeder things can get strong by absorbing the life energy or something. Um,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
they literally let like a half demon child get away as well in the previous episode.
Oh, did they? I can't remember.
No, remember the guy that got possessed, the one who was spraying acid? Like, remember, she had sex while he was possessed and shit.
Yeah. I mean,
Ended up with child. It's like, oh yeah, half demon.
uh, that was what Kane was talking about. What was it called? The Golden Dawn or something of half breeder, half human things being born or whatever.
I think he said it was a part of it.
I see. Yeah, and as I said back then, I kind of found it a bit strange that like this has never happened before. Um, there has never been a um, half breeder, half human like that. That this is a novelty. Um, I don't know. It sounded a bit odd. Um, but we will never know what the hell the Golden Dawn was anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I would find it like obviously vampires and shit are generally evil, but there's got to be one or two that had some like intimate fucking shit with a human, or maybe the other way around. Like it's fucking possible. So yeah, I do find it a little weird that was like the only one. Like really, in hundreds of years, no one has tried some interspecies hanky panky.
yeah,
I mean, if you watch Inuyasha, like yeah, it's uncommon, but it does happen.
yeah.
Fuck,
Um,
even Shishomaru did it, and he fucking hates half demons.
yeah. I mean, I yeah, the setting is not really the strongest part of
Nah, like it's very much like urban fantasy shit. Like you're more or less like taken for a ride, but yeah, this is one of probably like one of the least fleshed out that I've read of like of this type of series.
um. Which what rating would you give to this anime?
I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Like there's potential here, but wasn't you like if I was being generous, a 6, but like realistically probably a 5. Like it doesn't do anything like too horrendous to deserve a 4. It's competent enough. I give it a 5 out. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Um, another thing I want to mention is like we were talking about character design before, but I think what's very interesting is that about Riho, and this is the thing I didn't pick up, but what I picked up with our rewatch, is that like you know when she becomes a vampire, her design is a little different. Like she looks more adult
Yeah,
and
that
pale.
yeah. I do wonder though whether that was intentional or whether it was because after episode 4, the episode where she becomes a vampire, um, there's a general change in the art direction. Um, and
I mean, if you even watch the anime Shiki, I don't want to spoil it, but like basically one of the main characters becomes. If you ever heard of, I don't actually. Do you mind spoilers?
I don't mind spoilers, but I basically know the story because I watch GRR Kada's video on.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Yeah, so one of the main characters becomes like a day walking vampire in that show, and the interesting thing is that if you look at his like if you look at his character compared to before and when he became a vampire, you do notice like some slight differences. Like for example, his eyes are more distinct, and he's also got very pale skin. Like his skin is much more paler. Let me show you some pictures. Yeah, it was based on a light novel. Fun fact: the author who wrote Shiki also married the person who wrote another.
I see. I wonder what kind of thing that they will give birth to.
Yeah, a little interesting deep lore about him. So it's this dude. We should talk about Shiki at some point. I made a review about it. It might be fun to have a little podcast. So if you look at that, that's not a good. That's not. Where's another picture of when he's a fucking.
Yeah, Shiki is also. I've watched another, but Shiki is one of those series like Fate, which I've been basically putting off watching for a long time.
How about this? I've got like a month free. We can do it sometime. I've got it on hard drive, dual audio. We can watch together. It'd be great.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay, so aside from like, so look at these two pictures. Like, do you notice anything like different?
He becomes more dark energy. Um,
Yeah,
and
like, look at the eyes and like you notice that his skin tone is like a little lighter.
yeah, it's a little lighter. Yeah, becomes a bit bloodless, I guess.
No picture.
Yeah, yeah. His eyes certainly look different. Uh,
Yeah, and the anime we never see like his actual vampire eyes. How in the manga we do. Um, in the manga, there's actually a part where he literally like stakes and kills like another. The fucking so the manga's weird. They actually show you stuff that they should have showed you in the anime because like in the anime it's kind of implied.
I see.
I don't want to spoil it, but like in the manga, you actually do see like him activating like his vampire powers and shit. Like he's got like the red eyes and the fangs and shit.
I see. I mean, I did see some clips on YouTube of like which looked pretty edgy, but and violent. But I don't know. Do they still they probably still censor some stuff from the manga? I guess.
Yes.
Mm,
There's stuff from the manga that's even worse.
I see.
Yeah, and by the way, the manga is like an alternate version of the light novel because in the light novel, this character we're talking about, like he disappears completely,
I see.
never seen again.
So I don't think that Toad Agent is going to come on at this point. So shall we talk about the art and the other stuff, and then
Yeah.
call it a?
Oh,
So
I'm just looking at the Shiki wiki. They included his fucking Chinese zodiac, his blood type, and his fire sign, and how it comes into his fucking character. Shit.
yeah, I,
I,
I
yeah.
I was looking at whether that anime snob has watched Night Walker, whether he had a review, and unfortunately he doesn't seem to have seen it, but he did watch Vampire Night, and I think he rated it a 2 out of 10. That's a bit harsh, I would say.
I think I gave it a 4 out of 10 or 3. I'd have to double check.
All right. All right.
Like it's kind of like look, if you like that type of shit, good for you. But I like look, I like shoujo stuff, but this one, no bueno, not my thing.
I see. No, it's a 4 out of 10. And as for vampire stuff, I think he has reviewed this thing called Vampire Hunter. I don't know if you have watched it.
Yeah, Vampire D. Yeah, that shit's goat.
I see. Yes.
I've got the light novel. I can send it to you later. But anyway,
Yeah.
I thought the art and animation was okay. Like, it's definitely not good. Like for 90s standards, like I've definitely seen better.
Yeah. Same here. I mean, what about the art style?
I don't mind it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just fine.
It's just nothing to write. It's just nothing to write home about.
The music, I did like the opening.
Yeah, the opening and ending songs are pretty good. Fun fact: the opening song is sung by the same band who did the first opening for Shiki. So,
I see. And did you also say that uh, you also said that there was something else as well, right? In common. What was it about? Was it just
oh,
this?
so the song translated me like if you translate what the song mean, like it means Moon World. That's the name of
I
the
see.
song, Moon World, roughly.
I see. Uh,
I'm just reading this fucking thing on the Shiki Wikipedia page. Like it's talking about his Chinese zodiac and as Chinese zodiac, and that's why I made the decisions he did. That's really fucking. Did someone add? Oh, zodiac and yeah, this is really weird.
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. God, that fucking art is creepy. Anyway, I thought the art was fine. Like, it's definitely nothing to write home about. Style's okay. Weird thing I find really interesting is that like the nudity was very like there's a lot more detail put on it.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of detail put on it.
Like they fucking know who the audience is.
Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, because it's on TV, there wasn't that much nudity anyway.
Yeah, I wish this would have stayed as an OVA. It probably would have had a bit of budget too.
Yeah. And so we talked about the art, the music. Uh, I thought the pacing was all right too, for the most
I think
part,
it was fine.
except maybe the last episode. Um, uh, what else is there to talk about? I think we talked about the setting.
Yeah. We talk
Uh,
about characters, talk about music. Like overall, like it's not a bad watch. Like if you're into like if you're looking for something like deep and thought provoking vampire wise, you're not gonna find it here. But it's just a nice balanced watch. Actually, what I think you should do after we finish the recording is like get Ford Agent on for like his own recording and like put them together.
yeah, that would be an option. Yeah, I could ask him to talk. I could talk with him about it as well, and then put them together. Yeah, yeah,
Like I would have liked him to be here, but like he isn't here, so
yeah. Unfortunately, he isn't
yeah,
here.
because like it sucks he wasn't here because I actually when we did that Fate Stay Night Fate thing, I thought we had a pretty. I thought we had get a bit of chemistry going. I thought we did well. I think we did good enough for the first time we actually did talk. So
Yes, yes. It's just that when there's a third person, like it gives you some time to think, and maybe something which they say will give you
yeah,
an
like this is a thing
idea.
that I sort of notice and like when I record because sometimes I record with like people like single people or maybe 3 or 4 people. Like depending on like the group dynamic, it can either go really well or like really well or super bad. Like like actually we should probably cut this part out, but you know I would have liked Ford Agent to be in here because I think he would have probably he could have added a lot more.
Yes, yes, that is true. Yeah, I mean, all I do is basically just ask questions, so it would have been easier um,
Yeah.
with somebody else as well. Yeah. But thank you for coming on, Bio Gundam. It was
But
nice.
I enjoy these.
Yep.
I mean, I hope people here enjoy Nightwalker. At least they forget it in a week.
Yeah. I I hope that. Yeah, I don't think I'll forget it in a week though. Maybe a year or two. When was the last time you had watched Nightwalker before we watched it together this time?
I probably like rewatched it maybe 6 months ago. Like there's quite a few anime that I have that I like. You know, I like to go back and rewatch them.
And this is one of them.
Yeah. Sometimes I like the play it on in the background or like just give it a watch. And just because you know, there's some shows I like to watch. Where I'm just like, oh, or like, and also some of these review shows I actually plan to review at some point. So sometimes I like to rewatch a few times to see if I missed anything or any new thoughts.
Yeah, I think I have a bad habit of all this. Like whenever I get to some time to watch some anime, like unless I have no option, like I have no internet or whatever, I'll try to watch something new because like all right, I've already watched this, so why
Yeah.
am I rewatching it? The
Yeah.
only thing I've
Yeah,
rewatched,
well, I guess I have that option. You don't, but
yeah. So I don't think I will be rewatching Nightwalker, but I don't rewatch most stuff really.
oh well,
Um,
I'm just the type of guy who likes to do watches every now and then, or just like, oh, that's a really cool scene. Like I was just gathering pictures for my review of Tsukihime I'm working on, and there's just a lot of things. It was like, oh yeah, because I actually remember because I wanted to talk about the themes of it, and I realized, oh yeah, that's right, that's the themes, and I just wrote down a couple of paragraphs of text for shit that I wanted to add in. So I'm like, I think for me, there's good reasons of like revisiting works just to, you know, get a new perspective on things. Maybe see, like, figure, like that whole like Rio's character design looks different. Like, I didn't notice that at first, so.
sorry, what did you notice?
Oh, that Riho's character design looks different when she becomes a vampire. Like,
Oh,
more
I see.
pale, more adult, less moe.
I see. I see. Yeah. Um, I think I probably spend more time though um watching other people talk about anime, like about anime. So I guess that's another way to get basically just to get somebody to tell you the things which you didn't notice the first time you watched it.
That's why I like to have multiple people on, because it makes things feel more objective. And, like, even if I disagree with the opinion, it gives you something new to think about. But anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. It sucks that Good Student could be here, but, hopefully, you'll get him in for, like, the second take. I'm
Yeah,
probably gonna bounce off in a few minutes because I've got to go to bed, and I've got a Primark book to read. I'm doing Lemon Russ.
I see. Good.
Oh yeah, I've been
And
reading all the Warhammer Horus Heresy Primark books. The Rabute Gilliman one is boring as fuck. Like, holy shit, it reads like dry sandpaper.
I see. Is it by the
I
same?
thought that
Is it by the same author as the good stuff, or is
I
it?
don't know. I'd have to check, but it's
Hmm.
probably written by one of the people who did the fucking Horus Heresy, like one of them. Um,
Yep. Did you leave?
no, I didn't. I was about to say goodbye. Yeah, that one's boring as fuck. The Magnus book, however, was quite interesting, and so was the Alfarius book. That was quite a page turner.
I
Yeah,
see.
with Warhammer books, that like you'll get some that some that are like fucking great, like the Soul Hunter, the Night Lord's Omnibus. You got to read that shit. That shit's addictive. And then you get like other books that are just like absolute garbage.
Yeah, I guess it's more the good outweighs the bad. It's
Yeah,
that kind of situation.
yeah, that type of situation. Like there's gonna be 10 shitty books, but then you'll get like Talos, the Soul Hunter, the Night Lord's Omnibus, or you'll get like Vlad von Carstein, the Chattening. Like, you'll get those type of books that just really knock it out of the park, or get Khan the Betrayer. Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you next time for another cast. Well, we might do Shiki next. Who knows?
Yep. Uh,
Yeah, well, possibly when my internet is better.
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, peace out.
Good night. Bye, Gundam. All right. So that was Nightwalker, uh, and that was Bio Gundam as well. It's unfortunate that that Toad Agent was unable to join us. Um, but hopefully, I might be able to record a few thoughts about this with him as well at some point. Anyway, thank you for listening, and now get out.